Okay, so this was whatever we discussed last class. Um, so we were discussing Mary computer. So what is Mary? This is I given this reference in your I think uh, textbook one, yeah, or two, one or two, Mary, third chapter. Yeah. So Mary is nothing but a machine in architecture that is really intuitive and easy, right? So you should know this is a follow-up of Littleman. Littleman is like analogy, like ALU stands for calculator, mailbox stands for memory, and input-output basket stands for input-output units, and the register counter stands for the PC instruction register, etc. And Littleman himself stands for control unit. But here, Mary is more of a realistic. It is a real machine. We have hardware architectures for Mary. Every unit is defined. We have all this most simple computer, although it's 16-bit. It can be represent all the six minimum, the basic, like when you're starting with a computer, if you understand the most simple computer, it will be best because universally all the principles basic principles are same for the older computer or latest computer or all those. So if you understand Mary, it'll be a good starting point to understand all other latest process. So it's nothing but machine architect that is really easy. It's really intuitive and easy, right? So we discuss all those in this architecture of Mary. We can see a lot of things which is important here, which we have discussed in our last time. Also, we can see the important registers. You should remember the important registers. That is memory buffer register, or it's also called memory data register (MDR). It's also called MDR. Okay. Then we have MAR, memory address register, right? So whatever the MAR points to particular address in the memory, right? So when you are reading from the memory, that data is going to the MDR directly. That is in the case of reading, or we can say loading. Now, what happens writing? Whatever the MAR is pointing to, that data to that location is going from the MBR or MDR. So this is storing or writing. Okay, so this is very important instructions. Um, in any computer writing and reading. So we need two registers, special purpose register, that is MDR or MDR. MBR stands for memory buffer register. MDR stands for memory data register. Mostly they will be carrying the data, or you can see there's a part of data path. Or memory address register is also part of data path, but it stores always address, always point unidirectional, always unidirectional, always point towards the memory with some address. Right. Now, the other special purpose registers we discussed is one is accumulator, right? It's like a calculator screen in the Littleman, where all the one operand is always going from the accumulator. So we have discussed the accumulator-based architecture. We have this is your processing or arithmetic logic unit can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, whatever. So one input is always coming from the accumulator, right? And the result is always loaded back to the accumulator. The other input may be coming from the memory, and the memory or some other register banks or something. So like this, right? Right. So if it can come from memory or it can from register bank, you need some kind of multiplexer arrangement here. There are two mux. This is mux. It can the one input can come from the register bank, another input can come from the mux. So you have to select one of the two. So this is two into one mux, something like this. So this is the way we represent the load and store architecture, accumulator based architecture. Now other special purpose registers are PC program counter, which always point to the next instruction which is to be executed, and the IR instruction register, which shows the presently executed instruction. So IR from the PC points to next instruction. So PC data is going to the MAR. Then this instruction is coming to the MDR or MDR, and this is going to the IR. So that instruction which is executed is stored in the IR. Now IR, the control unit decodes from the help of instruction register. That instruction in the IR is called taken into the control unit from the decoder unit. It's called decoding phase or decoder. Now the control unit will generate what? Control signals to the CPU. That means actually it is going to the control data path here. The control signals are controlling the data path. So they'll be owning whatever ALU instruction, there is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, whatever, or which all the switches are to be on whether in register has to be on, out register has to be on, and clocking signals. Clocking signals has to be given to the ALU and other parts, and all those loading, store, enabling signal, different units has to be enabled. Okay, so basically control units is that is thing. So here, that's all. So this we have discussed different registers accumulator, MAR, MBR, PC, IR, interest and outrage. So instruction set we have discussed. They can be 16-bit word, and now whatever number of bit word we have to divide into opcode and operand. For example, just give an example. For example, we have instruction like this. For example, 8-bit instruction. This is an example 8-bit instruction. So this instruction consists of two parts we discussed. One part is opcode. Opcode. What is opcode? The operation, the code of the operation. Another is operand. What is the data? Where is the data coming from? For example, opcode is example add. Add is opcode, and operand is maybe memory, or in case of Littleman we can say add memory operation 399, something like this, or memory address 99 099 or whatever. So this is the operand part where the data is coming from. Opcode is the operation. So this is the 8-bit instruction. So add will have some bits, maybe I will give 4 bits for add, and 8-bit, the rest 4 bits, 4 bit representing the memory. Okay, so you can, if I have an 8-bit instruction word, 4 bits will for the add. So how many operations you can have? 2 raised to 4, right? 4 bits are dedicated for the opcode. So total number of operations possible is 2 raised to 4, that is 16. And what about total number of location I can access? 2 raised to 4, that is also 16. So you may feel this is a bit very less here. Yeah, you can only access only 16 different memory locations. Yeah, that is too less actually for a program or a computer. Or you can say 16 different registers you can access, right? So this is very less with respect to a computer. So that is why either we should reduce the opcode. We can, instead of 4-bit, I can give 3-bit. So this will become 2 raised to 3. 8 different operations only I can do, but I can add one more extra bit to the operand. That means storage. Now it can access 32 locations, but still it is very less. That's why we go for 16-bit word, right? Because 8-bit is too less, because we can refer to very less operands from the memory locations or registers, right? So we go for the 16-bit word. Right? This is especially helpful when you are dealing with an instruction like this: add R1 is the destination, R2, R3, which is meaning that R1 is storing the result of R2 plus R3. For example, an instruction like this, minimum, opcode need at least 4 bits, and this for specifying R3 we can have at least, you can say it can also have 4 bits. This also can have 4 bits. This also can have 4 bits. So we can have 16 bits like that. So not only this, if there is an instruction like this, add memory operation M, instruction like this, if add have 4 bits, you have around 12 bits for memory operation. So it can access around 2 raised to 12 different locations. So how many locations? 2 raised to 12 means 4096 locations. So that is comfortable. That is okay. That much memory location I can access using 12 bits. Okay. So again, I'll repeat, whatever the number of word instruction size, that I have to accommodate both opcode and operand. And operand is very important because it gives the bits which helps to reference the memory locations. The more there are bits for operand, the more it is easier for to refer more locations. I can access more locations. So that is why we go for 16-bit instead of 8-bit. So here we are defined 15 to 12 bits are opcode. We are given 4 bits: 15, 14, 13, 12. 4 bits for opcode. Yeah, fine. And 11 to 0 bits are for address. Yeah, memory address. So instruction like add 259, this add is having 4 bits, and this 259 is stored in the 12 bits, right? So total 2 raised to 12 operation locations it can access. So in hex code it looks like this: 3259. 3 stands for add operation 3, and 259 stands for the location, right? So each of this number 0, 1, 2, 3 may represent some opcode or operation code. Okay, so this is the number, right? The instruction, you can see the instruction is all of a number 3259. It's all about a number only. Now this has to be converted into binary language. 3 stands for 0011 and 2 stands for 0010, like that. So we'll get a machine code. So this hex code is converted to machine code using assembler. Okay, so ultimately we are trying to put a binary language or machine language into the machine. So all this code, all this instruction has to convert it into codes, maybe hex code or machine code or some other code. So all the languages, high-level languages like C, CPP, Python, MATLAB, whatever, will be using some compiler to convert them into some kind of low-level language. Then this will be ultimately converted into machine language. Okay, so this is standard for all instruction architecture. So we have 15 to 12 bits for opcode. So one important thing I want you to remember here, when you are specifying this bits for opcode, that means 15 to 12 bits for opcode. That means control unit only need to access this bits to understand what is instruction. It's adding, storing, loading, input, output. So this is sufficient. So we have stream of bits coming 15 with maybe 1, 0, 1, 1. So this is going to the control unit, and control unit able to understand. Okay, this is going to be addition. So I need to output control signals for addition, or if it is for subtraction, likewise. And now whenever we have add instruction, control unit understand, okay, I'm going to add. Now the address is required. Now this address, when the instruction, has to go to the MAR kind of thing, MAR address, because I need to access this operand. Okay, so based on the instruction, I'll be using my operand, this address. Sometimes I may not need this. For example, an instruction like halt in Littleman halt. Halt means stop. In that case, I don't need the address because it's ultimately I have to stop the operation. Like halt is here, yeah, halt is here. Terminate the program. So their address is not useful at all, right? On other instruction like load, store, add, subtract, I need address. In input and output also I don't need address. And in jumping also I need. Okay, now we'll discuss maybe a special instruction skip count, although you may not directly deal with it, but at least in every machine instructions or assembly code or program, there should be a looping instructions. That means change of control. That means based on that statement, I can jump from one part of the program to the other part of the program. So this whole thing we have discussed. Load, what happens in load? In load, we need to load the accumulator with some data in the memory. So load needs always some address. Okay, so whenever you specify the load means the opcode will have some data. Maybe here it is 1. Load stands for 0001, so it is 1. The code for load is 1. Now this is next 12 bits is for the memory, so you can say IX, something like this. So this is stands for the memory operations. So total there are 16 bits. So 16 bits I can represent using 4 hexadecimal bits, right? 4 hexadecimal. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your instruction. 4 hexadecimal bits. And this will stand for the opcode, rest 3 for the memory. So load, load, what is this location is going to this data, or this address is going to MAR. MAR is going to point into memory, and because of this load, the data from that location, that is XXX pointed by XXX, maybe 1, 2, 3, is going to the MDR. This is MDR. Now it is storing 1, 2, 3. This is MDR or MDR. Okay, so this is load. Now the other instruction will be working likewise. Now skip count. Now skip count is this up to the computer architect. What kind of branching he need? For example, Littleman had BRP. If you remember some of the instructions of Littleman, we had instruction like BRA. This is like branch, unconditional branch. Without checking any condition, you branch location XXX. Right? It can be 1, 2, 3, 0, 0, whatever. So branching means unconditional. Don't check any condition. Directly jump from here. That is unconditional branch. Another branching is BRZ. Now you have to branch to location XXX if the accumulator value is 0. That is important. 0. Branch on condition. This is conditional branch. Branch if the accumulator value is 0. Branch on 0. Z. Right. And there is BRP. Branch on positive. Alright, if the accumulator value is positive, you jump to location XYZ, PRP, positive. or another is BRM, branch if minus to location Y, whatever, right? So these are different possibilities of branching. This is unconditional branch, these are conditional branch. Now, likewise, we have another kind of branching or jumping instruction, skip con. Okay, so it's up to the computer architect to decide what kind of branching instructions he need to incorporate in his design. Based on the hardware, he will be incorporating some. So here skip count is skip on condition, right? Skip the next instruction on condition. That is the meaning, right? Right. So what is this meaning? Yeah, skip the next instruction on condition. What condition? Condition on the accumulator. That's it. Okay. So we have different options in this opcode. You can see opcode is 1000. That means opcode is 100 means 8. Opcode is 8. That means the instruction is skip con. Okay, when instruction is 8, when the opcode is 8, the instruction is skip count. So what is the meaning of this skip count? Right, so whenever I give this instruction, you can see the Mary or the control unit will be checking the bits 10 and 11, right? Bits 10 and 11 of the instruction. That means these two instruction after the 8th, after the 12th bit, that means 15, 14, 13, 12 bits are used for the instruction, that's opcode. Now whenever it sees that skip count instruction is there, that's 8 is in the opcode. Now we'll be checking the 11th and 10th bits. This is 11th bit, this is the 10th bit. Now based on those condition, it has different ways of activating, right? What is it checking? If this 11th and 10th bits are 0, what happens? Bypass next instruction if accumulator value is negative. This is the first condition. So now the skip count is activated if the next if the accumulator value is negative. Now bypass next instruction, skipping next instruction, right? That happens only if the 10th and 11th bits are 0. Now if the 10th and 11th bits, 11th and 10th bits are 0, what happens? Again bypass the next, skipping the next instruction if in this case the accumulator value has to be equal to 0. Okay, so whenever 0, 1 is in the 11th and 10th bits, the control unit of the Mary computer will check the accumulator. If it is equal to 0, it is jumping the next instruction, bypassing the next instruction, skipping the next instruction. Now, if the 11th and 10th bits are 1 and 0, again, if check the accumulator is greater than 0, it's checking the accumulator. If it is greater than 0, what happens? Again, jump the next instruction, skip it. Okay, if it is 1, it is not used. It's a race around illegal operation. An error condition is occurred. Right, this is not need to use it in case of emergency or some problem happening. Some there can be divide by 0 error. There can be power low battery. There can be some kind of attempt to hacking kind of thing. So that happens. Then I can specify this error condition 1. Then I can go to a state like reset or start to the first instruction or stop or halt or whatever. That's up to the designer or we can do whatever we need. Okay, so again I'll refresh the skip count instruction. We are skipping the one. For example, this is the instruction 1. This is instruction 2, instruction 3. So if there is skip count in instruction 1, so this instruction 2 will be skipped on these 3 conditions. If 0 is percent 11th and 10 bits, the accumulator is value is negative, then I'll skip the next instruction. Okay, so basically you can see if I put the 11th and 10th bit 0, what I'm checking? I'm checking whether the accumulator is negative. If I put 11th and 10th bit as 1, basically I'm checking if the accumulator value is 0 or not. Likewise here, we are branch if 0, right? The branch if 0 can be executed using Mary using 0, 1. This instruction 0, 1. I hope it is clear. It may be a bit difficult in the starting, but as you get the importance of this, you'll be easily able to appreciate why it is. So BRZ, branch if 0 in Littleman, can be compared to the middle one. That means if the 11th bit is 0, 10th bit is 1, you can see next instruction is bypassed because accumulator value is equal to 0. Now it is checking. This happens, bypassing happens only if the accumulator value is 0. So actually it is just checking this branch if 0, or you can say bypass if 0 in case of Mary. Now what about in 10? 10 translate to bypass instruction if accumulator value is greater than 0, that is dislike. branch if positive. That means branch if positive, I'm skipping the next instruction and I'm going directly to the third instruction, directly from the first instruction, because the accumulator value is positive. And similarly, if the 11th bit is 0, 10th bit is 0, bypass the next instruction if the accumulator is negative. So checking the, this is branch on minus, BRN, like in let's. So every processor have its own instruction set, its own looping instruction, branching instruction, jumping or skip count. So it's up to the architect who designs the architecture or the processor instruction set to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so the more simple, the more it is user friendly, the more people will be feeling easy to adapt to the new processor, to program it. Okay, now we see that opcode 8, opcode 8, yeah, opcode 8 is here, yeah. Bits 11 and 11 and 10 are 1 0, meaning that next instruction will be skipped if value of AZ is greater than 0. Okay, in this example, you can see 1 and 0. So that means 1 and 0. Here 11th and 10th between 1 and 0. That means we can go to this 1 and 0. This is the instruction. If 1 and 0 translate to bypass in this instruction if the accumulator is greater than 0. So it will check the accumulator value is greater than 0. Next instruction will skip if a value in the accumulator is greater than 0. Okay. Yeah, opcode is 8. Opcode is, this is not this opcode is 8. This is opcode is 8. Opcode is 8. Okay, so skip instruction. Done. Now we'll check the bit 11 and 10. They are 1 and 0. That means going to this condition. Bypass next instruction if the accumulator is greater than 0. Okay, so just it is a main of 1 and zeros. Ultimately, it is much easier for a control unit or computer because it's all 1 and 0. You need to check this, compare this 1 and zeros, and do the whatever operation is required. You may name it a different skip count, branching, jumping, whatever, but ultimately you have to loop it and loop based on 0 or positive or minus or whatever. Okay, in microprocessor 805, 8085, you may have seen the parity, jumping on parity, jumping on odd parity, jumping on even parity, right? And all those special cases, jumping on sign bit, maybe jump on first. I don't think jumping on sign bit is there, right? So the different instructions. So this is some examples, you can go through it. Okay, now I think we have discussed a bit of this also, RTL also. So what is the meaning of this? When load instruction is happening, the load instruction divided into 3 micron instructions. So this is first micron instruction, second micron instruction, third micron instruction. What this micron instruction indicate? Micron instruction actually indicate the hardware data transfer, RTL. It's also called RTL. What is RTL? Register transfer language. So this is actually a language of the basic hardware, how basic data transfer is happening within the hardware. For example, X is going into MAR. So what is the meaning of X? That means your instruction has 2 parts. For example, load, right? So load X. So this is the instruction. So in the instruction which is stored in the IR, and then it is going to the decoder in the control unit. Now X is going to the MAR. So MAR register is here. For example, MAR register is here, and there will be a switch. There will be a switch which connects the X and MAR. So X is going to MAR. That means this switch has to be on. This switch has to be on. So this is indicated by this is RTL. Now when X, this only X value has to go. Maybe X is maybe we have X is 12 bits, right? So this 12 bit line is connected to MAR. That means this switch has to be on. So this is maybe T on. So here this switch is, I can say T on. So this indicates that one switch is on, so that your X is going to MAR register. Okay. Now the next instruction MBR has to be loaded with a memory data pointed by the MAR. So MAR right now is pointing to memory. This is memory. MAR is pointing to memory. So now when whatever data MAR is pointing, MDR is storing that data or getting or receiving that data is pointed by MAR. Okay, so here also there is a switch. You should remember here also there is a switch. Here switch which helps in this data transfer. For example, here also there is a switch here kind of thing. There's a switch which is triggered by this operation. This is maybe memory data on, something like this. So this here the switch is on, a memory data on, something like this. So this switch is on, so corresponding to MAR location, I'm getting data into MDR. Okay, that's now MDR is data is in MDR. Now the MDR MBR, MDR is also called MBR, memory buffer register. Now ultimate next step is MBR has to transfer the data to accumulator. Now accumulator is here. Accumulator is again is another switch connecting data from the MDR to the accumulator. So this may be accumulators on something like switch like this. So here the switch or the MOSFET or the transistor which connects or which allows the data transfer, signal transfer from the MBR or MDR to AZ is on. Okay, so these are different switches you can see. Now all this my RTL represents the data transfer happening because of some switches are getting on and off, some MOSFETs. This may be 16 bit, this can be 16 bit, this can be 12 bit. Okay, so basically all these switches are on by which unit? Control unit. So control unit is controlling the data transfer using this simple switches: T on, MD on, A on. It's up to the designer architect what name you give, but it should be easily understandable. Ultimately user is not going to check your design, but ultimately when you have designed this computer, it's also highly appropriate that you also make it simpler so that the next designer is going to work or troubleshoot or improve your design, able to understand your design, right? So ultimately we are going to design a computer in this course, that I think you should understand. So all those are controlled by simple switches, and you can see this all operation, three operations are actually, timing is very important. Third operation can happen only after 1 and 2 operations have been completed, and second operation can be completed only if first operation can be completed. So you can see the control is very important, the sequence is very important. So this is called timing. Here the timing plays very important. First the X is going to MAR, then the data stored in MAR location is going to MBR, then only MBR location has to go to MBR data has to go to accumulator. So the timing is very important. So every single instruction like load has a lot of sequential instruction, that is called micro instruction. So we can say RTL, and this sequence is also very important. So sequence, whenever there's a sequence 1, 2, 3 happening in a pattern or order or regular arrangement, the timing comes very important. I cannot allow the third point or third part to happen initially. No, timing is very important. Unless first instruction is done, then only I should go for second RTL, then only I should go for third. Okay, timing is very important. So this helps in understanding the control unit design also, which will comes in next or other chapters. So likewise, you should understand all other operations are also needing this kind of switching. This is for store. Okay, so storing, I think you will always store, that is storing the data in the accumulator. That means accumulator data is going to the accumulator data is going to the MDR, and the address location where I want to store the data is going to MAR. Now the MBR data is going to MAR. Here you can see the first operation can happen parallelly. The address location in the instruction where I want to store or write my data is going to MAR, and parallelly I can put the accumulated data into MBR. Here I can happen this thing, these two operations can happen parallelly, then the second micro operation can happen. So here only I have two micro instructions. You can see depending upon the instruction, I have number of micro instructions also vary. Okay, I have more RTL in some instruction, less RTL in some other instructions. So these are also switching kind of thing. You should visualize. You should visualize every instruction. You should visualize what kind of hardwares are triggered. So here we know the X on the instruction is going to MAR, the switching happening here, and accumulator value is going to MDR, the switching is happening here. So you may think doubt one thing. In last instruction, my MBR value was going to accumulator, but here it is reverse. So what happens? How it is? What is switching happening here? If there is a switch here, how it is working? So in this case, you have to remember your basics. Every register have two things. Register always have a load, and it can also enable also, right? Okay, so every instruction, every register or a flip-flop have a load and enable or some kind of control thing. So if I enable load of MBR and make the switch on, so data is transferring from accumulator to the MBR. And reverse, if I enable load of the accumulator and doesn't enable the load of the MBR and make the switch on, now I'll be transferring data from the MBR to the accumulator. So likewise, this basic digital happen understanding is required, especially for electronics engineer. This will help you very much. Basic understanding what is register, what is load signal, what is enable. Okay, so all those things will be very helpful. Help you to design a small computer. Okay, similarly, you can understand other instructions. I'm again repeating this because it's very important. If you understand this thing, it will be very helpful also. So here in add instruction, so the address from where my operand is coming is loaded to MAR. This is the first part. And second part is whatever the address pointed by MAR, from that location my data has to go to the MBR. Okay. Now one data is already in the accumulator, second data is already in the MBR. Now we can add it. Okay. So the result is in ASC accumulator. Right. So these are also sequential operations. So in clock cycle one, in clock one, I'll say first execution RTL is done. In clock 2, second operation is done, and clock 3, I can execute the third operation, right? So this is sequential. So this is managed by clock. Can you understand how the timing and regulation control are happening, and the signals? All the signals are controlled by the control unit, right? So this thing you can calculate. These things are with control unit. This is also given with control unit. So basically all the data path hardware, register, the ALU, and this also, this addition is also given by the control unit. So all these things are controlled by the control unit. Okay, similarly, subtract is all everything similar, only other than there's a minus sign here. This is a minus sign here, it's minus MBR is the other things remain the same. Input output is very simple. Doesn't have many complicated register arrangement. Only one execution. In the case of input, it is just a switch between in register and accumulator is on, and it is just another register I'm using for out register and accumulator, and the direction is opposite, right? So we need another two register enrich and outrich, and we need to load the accumulator in the input, and we need to load the outrich in the output. And halt, there is no operation. And jump also is directly jumping from whatever location in the address. Now this is I have to jump to X location. So what to do? Directly load the PC with the X, so that next instruction I'm executing is X. That's it. That's it about the branching or jumping. This is unconditional jump. You can see unconditional jump. You don't need to check any condition. Directly put the value given in the jump instruction and load the PC. So next, this is what happening. So whenever there's a jump instruction, for example, jump to 1, 2, 3 location. So the jump will have bits from 15 to 12, 4 bits. Again, this location will have bits from 11 to 0. Okay, so I only need this 11 to 0 bits to understand which address I'm going to jump. So this is loaded into this is in the instruction register. So 11 to 0th bit of the instruction register is going to the PC programmable counter, so that I can know exactly which location I need to jump. So instruction register only takes 11 to 0, that is 12 bits. If I see the instruction jump, here is unconditional jump, unconditional branching. Okay, conditional branching also have a bit more complications, a bit more sequence. Okay, now is skip count. How skip count is executed in Mary. Okay, recall that skip count skip the next instruction according to the value of the accumulator. Yeah, we discussed. Uses bits 10 bit and 11 bit to determine what comparison to perform on the accumulator. We know if there are two options, we'll check the accumulator is positive or 0 or negative. Okay, if the condition is true, the next instruction is skip and PC is incremented. Yes, PC is here it is incrementation. We don't need to jump to anywhere because PC can be incremented just because I'll be skipping. PC will be always pointing to next instruction, right? Next instruction always pointing. PC is always pointing next instruction. But when I incrementing PC means I'm skipping that instruction and I'm going to ni plus 1th instruction, right? So that is just advantage of skip count instruction, right? Now the RTL for this instruction is the most complex in Mary, although it is very simple, the skip count RTL is a bit quite complex. That's it. The operations involved in the skip count is a bit complex compared to other instructions. So this is the condition. Again, it's simple if and else statement. If the if the 11th and 10th bits are 0, 0, then if accumulator is less than 0, if accumulator is negative, then skip count. Else, if the 11th and 10th bits are 0, 1, then check if accumulator is 0. If it is 0, then skip count PCS and PC plus 1. Else, last checking is if it is 1, 1 and accumulator is greater than 0 or positive, then skip count. So this is in if and else statement like a C statement. It is very easy, very straightforward, right? So based if it is skip count instruction, check the 11th and 10th bit, right? If the 11th and 10th bit is 0, check if accumulator is less than 0 or negative. If it is 11th and 10th bit is 0, 1, check the accumulator is 0. If true, jump. If 11th and 10th bit is 1, 1, check the accumulator is greater than 0 or positive, then jump. Okay, so we already discussed the system or the processor is always doing three things: fetch, decode, execute, and continues until it is made to stop using a halt instruction. In halt also, we are trying to execute the stop instruction. So first step is fetching. After fetching, the instruction is placed into the instruction register pointed by the instruction is pointed by the PC, and that instruction is going to IR instruction register. So when it is in IR, the decoding phase starts. Now the control unit understand what or try to understand what is the instruction. Should I add, load, store, whatever, or skip? Okay. So this is the basic overall working of the instruction processing. Okay, so starting from any execution, whenever you put reset or start the execution of the little man or Mary, it starts with the first instruction. It takes into the PC. It points to the first instruction. Maybe usually the first instruction is 0, 0 or something. Okay, so here this is placed in the PC. Maybe it's a 0, 0 instructions or something. First location 0, 0. So that will be pointed by the PC initially. First location is pointed by PC. Now this PC is going to MAR, so that I need to fetch the instruction. Now the MAR is going to the memory, and this memory is going to the memory data is coming to the MDR. So now the MDR has to be instruction is stored in the MDR from the 0, 0 locations. Now it has to be decoded, so it has to be put in the IR, right? So it is contents of memory address is put in the IR. Now PC is incremented. Now PC is incremented to point to 001 location. Next instruction. Okay, now instruction decode instruction. Yeah, now the control unit has to decode what is the instruction done, and based on the bits 11 to 0, you should know the address, which data is coming from which address. Okay, so this again pointing to MAR. MAR again access the memory, and data is coming to MDR. It depends on the reading, writing, loading, storing, whatever. Now it checks whether the instruction requires operand. Sometimes the instruction doesn't require operand, right? Maybe it's halt, load. Sorry, load this does require operand. For example, it is like a input output, in-range output, input output, halt, right? And can be skip count instruction can be. So if it requests again MAR, the memory from the data from the memory is coming to the MDR. So why this is happening? Because we already done what? We already done the instruction 11 to 0 bits are already going to MAR. So you may think why I'm doing that before I'm checking whether the instruction requires load or store. No, it is sometimes we have to improve the performance. We have to think about performance wise. Anyway, it has to be done in all instructions. So let me do it also parallelly. Then I may check, because else again if I check this condition then do this condition, I may waste some more time. So basically it's because of the performance criteria I'm doing this before. Like you should understand, you have to think about this sometime, then you understand what is happening. Okay, so if there is no operand required, directly execute the instruction, halt, input, output, all those things. Again go to the fetching the next instruction. That's it. Okay, so this thing interrupt we are not discussed. Interrupt is happening when there is some problem happening or some external device is trying to communicate with your PC, or you are trying to connect with some sensor. You're connect to communicate with another PC or internet. Okay, so there needs of interrupt. For example, you're talking to a person. What happens? Another person is interrupting you. Suppose the interrupt is, say, you're talking to a very important person, and but your small brother or sister is disturbing you. Then what do you do? You ignore those interrupts. You don't talk. You just continue your talking. So, but there is some interrupt which is high priority. For example, you're talking to your friend, you get a call from the director of your college. So that is a high priority. So you have to that time your discussion or the talking is interrupted, right? So that is the in analogy of interrupt. When you're doing something, something high priority thing is coming. Now you have to interrupt the present work. So it can happen when there is a divide by zero error, user is stopped in the operation, or the battery is down, or there is some other communication device is trying to communicate with the system, or you're trying to connect to another system on the internet. Okay, it can be hardware or software. So whenever you have faced an interrupt, you have to process the interrupt. That's it. Interrupt process has been different steps. It can be hardware based, can be software based, can be a lot of, it can be different ways. But you should understand whenever there's an interrupt, you have to go to the interrupt. Although Mary, I don't think have any interrupts. Little Man also we didn't discuss any interrupt, but microprocessors like 8085, 8086, or all the latest processors have a lot of interrupts. Right. The more complicated processors, more interrupts you can serve. Okay, so interest means you are going for higher things, while you are just putting the present work into halt, or maybe temporarily you are putting in the buffer or a stack. You put those things in the stack and you do the present high priority thing, and again come back later. After the talking with director, you again, okay, you do whatever you want, and you come back to the friend and start discussing the matter. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so instruction processing. This is about instruction processing, which will we no need to discuss much here. But this is interrupt service routine. There is ISR. It's called interrupt service routine, right? So based on that thing, you'll be servicing the interrupt. Okay, input output instruction processing also requires interrupts, because when something is communicating with your system, when you're processing something, you need to have interrupt. Okay, so now you can go to the simple program. You can understand how it is working. And I think that's all. You can go through this. I think I have shared this thing. So that's it. If any questions I can take.